And it just breaks my heart, like, more than anything, to see them suffer in that way. And I just recently started learning about sex trafficking and that injustice, and I felt like God was saying, I want you to be a part of fighting this injustice in some way. I'm not going to tell you exactly how for the rest of your life, and that's my purpose that I have for you. So I said, all right, I have no idea what that looks like, but let's do it. And then he showed me 3 guys' faces at the same time, and I was like, all right, what's this about? I prayed for them for like 15 minutes each, and he just said the same thing that she said. If there's not a demand for sex, then this injustice wouldn't exist. And he called me to mentor young men, and he just said, I need you to challenge them and ask them really tough questions about their relationship with me and what they think about me, because someone did that for me, and it radically allowed me to claim my faith in Jesus as my own. Some Mormons knocked on my door and asked me a bunch of questions I didn't know the answer to. I was just like, well, everyone at church believes it, so I do too. It's not really my own. I don't really know what the Bible says about it, but, And so I just did a lot of research and found out, wow, I can actually believe this, and I can actually know why I believe it and devote my life to it. So I just want to quickly explain kind of the vision of what Win the Saints hopes to accomplish. Obviously, we are starting the Safe Home in Malawi. Me and my pastor, Jason, we're leaving for Malawi in January. And we're just going to kind of do some research and scout out a city location that we could start a Safe Home and just kind of do a bunch of research and find out where the biggest need is, where the least amount of people are helping. And that is, as far as like my dream and my vision, I have like a lot of plans, so I'm just going to run you through those real quick. I want to approach pastors, and eventually, right now I'm under the covering of church, but until I get my 501c3, I'm kind of going to become a separate entity and do my own thing. Obviously, I'll still go to this church, and the church will still support me, but I want to get involved with a lot of churches and have them partner with Win the Saints. So that's kind of my dream, and open a bunch of homes like in Nicaragua and India and all over the place, Indonesia, and just do ministry all over the place. But I believe that, at first I was like kind of arrogant and wanted to tell the churches that like, you're doing this wrong and you got to start fighting for justice. But then my pastor encouraged me. He said, if you're not doing ministry yourself, then it might be hard for ministers who are doing ministry, to listen to you, because they're like, well, this guy doesn't really know, what it's like to actually do ministry. Once he got in my position, he would see, like just what it all takes to try to lead ministry. And so I want to be a part of doing ministry. I want to one day have like a missions school, like a seminary in Malawi, where Americans can come, interns could come and study for a semester or 2 semesters and learn what it's like to be a missionary. And then I want local Africans to be able to be trained to be pastors and church planners in Malawi. But I just want them side by side studying the life of Jesus Christ. And how cool would that be? Just to be able to like, wow, you're halfway around the world and we're like on the same page. We understand this whole Jesus thing and like we're devoting our lives to it. I just think that'd be really empowering. And I want to kind of make it what I would see like a school that Jesus would run, and the way that he trained his disciples. That's like my kind of dream. Like kind of less class time and lectures and reading books and writing papers, and more just in the field. He modeled it for his disciples, and they did a pretty good job in evangelizing to a lot of the world. So I think it was pretty effective. So I would just love to have classrooms just go out into the community and minister to orphans and widows and do evangelism to mass groups of gatherings that just, come together. And I just think that'd be really cool to learn how to evangelize and how to plant churches and how to do agricultural sustainability and, like clean water, purification systems and stuff like that in the field in Africa. So that's another like longer term dream of mine as well. So it's kind of like the two-handed thing of inspiring and challenging other churches, but also doing it ourselves, and then saying, hey, you can partner with us or you can do your own thing. All of you, whether you partner with another organization or Win the Saints or you start your own thing, just like that's kind of the challenge of tonight, I think. So I want to read an excerpt. It's kind of short, just from a paper that I wrote last semester for school, and it's just kind of a little bit of the heart behind Win the Saints as well. It just says, partnership is a vital element of success. This last step that will help the church satisfy the needs of the widows and orphans in the world involves a different kind of partnership. If one affluent church partnered with one impoverished church, the blessings that would result from this would be too many to count. This goes for the individual as well if they chose to do something such as sponsor a child through Compassion International. First of all, the act of serving the poor church will never allow the affluent church to forget how exceedingly blessed they are. The change that the wealthy church can only hope that their missional tithe is accomplishing will finally become tangible. Relationships will be established that will allow charity to be personal. Handouts without relationship are simply enabling rather than empowering. Furthermore, they both would be encouraged by the transcendent idea that they are a part of a global and far greater family than they could have ever imagined. In this process, the church of affluence may even discover that what they can gain on the inside is far greater than what they can give on the outside. For this is a movement in a kingdom where the last will be first and where one individual can change the world. If you want to be a part of this movement, you have to understand that it's not an obligation, it is an opportunity. This is not a guilt trip, but an invitation to the best possible way of life, where contentment in your heart is far greater and more valuable than anything that you could ever have in your hands. We shouldn't serve the poor because we think that they need it, but in this service, may we discover that we are the ones who are truly needy. Or as Rob Bell would say from a Numa video, may you find someone who needs what you have only to discover that they had what you needed all along. Jason's gonna come up and just do the offering. And on the pledge card, there is a box that just says, I want to get involved. And it says you can, i.e., you can meet with me and just talk about, ways you could possibly be involved. And I could share ideas of fundraising, ideas that I have that you could maybe do with your church. So that's what that box means. And thank you very much.
Let's give David a hand. I think you can all see and feel, hear David's heart. And that's really what this all comes down to. When the saints speaks to the power that is latent in the heart of the church, when the church is inspired by the heart in response to mercy and to love, the church, it changes culture, it changes the world. In fact, a lot of the cultures around the world over time has been touched by the church. Slavery has been broken all around the world. If you follow the trail of the gospel through cultures in history, you find that there was bondage in culture, in slavery, and all kinds of injustices. And as the church would move in, it would bring freedom to a generation. So this is about heart. And tonight we want to give everyone an opportunity to financially invest in this. This isn't about the money. Just being honest with you, it's about your hearts. And tonight we want a couple hundred people that are in this room. We want the heart of those people to be behind Win the Saints. Because the Bible is filled of God doing extraordinary things through ordinary people who just open their heart to what he wants to do in and through them. And so we're getting ready to go on an adventure, and really the whole heart of this is to invite you to come along. Some of you can contribute financially, some of you can contribute prayerfully. Maybe in the future, some of you will come with us. Maybe some of you will go and help educate and help transform and teach and help the girls that we rescue. There's lots of roles to be played, but it starts right here, right now, tonight. And we want to ask you to come along on that journey. Will you, from your heart tonight, consider prayerfully giving a financial gift? This gift tonight will not be used by church or Win the Saints for airfares or sundry costs that go when you launch a ministry. All this money that we get tonight, we're setting it aside to actually use on the ground to begin to create the infrastructure required to get homes, to get offices, to get personnel in place, to gather the resources that we will need in Malawi to launch a permanent ministry and sustain it.